Freedom.
Liberation.
Our history.
Celebration.
Juneteenth, a celebration of Black freedom and liberation.
Juneteenth, short for June 19th, is the day commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. It's a holiday that has been celebrated since 1866 and represents a critical turning point in American history. Open up a classroom history book, and the author might say that slavery ended on January 1st, 1863. The day when President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, it established that all enslaved people in the Confederate States in the rebellion against the Union shall be then, thenceforth, and forever free. Of course, the proclamation stated this, but it did not instantly free any enslaved people. It would take another 2 years for slavery to end in the United States. In Texas, slavery continued uninterrupted during the Civil War. The state wasn't involved in large-scale battles, and there wasn't a real presence of Union troops. 2 months after the war came to a close, U.S. General Gordon Granger arrived on Texas soil and read General Order No. 3. The people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. Granger's arrival marked the freedom for 250,000 enslaved people in the state. Although emancipation didn't happen overnight, celebrations broke out among newly freed Black people. Juneteenth was born. The following year, freed people in Texas organized the first of what became the annual celebration of Jubilee Day on June 19th. The holiday wasn't widely celebrated across the country, but the traditions continued to grow over the next several decades. By 1979, Texas became the first state to make Juneteenth an official holiday. Finally, in June 2021, Congress passed a resolution establishing Juneteenth as a national holiday.
And now we take you live to the East Room of the White House, where President Biden is going to sign the law making Juneteenth a national holiday.
All right.
When did I find out about Juneteenth? If I'm being really transparent and honest, probably about 2 years ago. And I was like, what is Juneteenth? And they said it was based off of Abraham Lincoln, I believe, signing the Emancipation Proclamation.
I learned about Juneteenth actually by myself. So, kind of. I overheard someone talking about it. I think it was my dad or someone. And I remember asking, what is Juneteenth? Because I didn't learn it in school. I didn't have any friends or anyone that I've known or paid attention to discuss it. So I went and I looked it up myself, and that's how I found Juneteenth, shockingly, about 2 or 3 years ago.
How did I learn about Juneteenth? I'm just going to be honest. I don't recall Juneteenth being something that was taught to us in school. I grew up in Maryland, so I just don't recall that being something we talked about. I don't recall any celebrations. I could be wrong, but I just don't recall any of those things.
Of course, I knew the general information about when slavery ended, the whole Civil War situation. I understood that, and I'm just really thankful that we are able to get more information and actually have a federal holiday for our liberation.
I learned about Juneteenth years and years ago as a teenager, but I was not familiar with all of, the celebratory things that were taking place across the country. But I have to be honest to say that I didn't really dig and do my research until about 5 years ago. But I'm happy I did, because now in our home, we treat this holiday with as much happy joy and respect as we do like other Americans treat 4th of July.
Why is Juneteenth important to me? It's important because it lets the world know that we as a Black people, African American people, whatever you're calling us these days, deserve to be appreciated as human beings like everyone else.
Juneteenth is important because it sheds light into Black culture and into Black history, and it's just more than just an Independence Day of freedom for Black people.
Juneteenth is important because it's when the last enslaved African Americans were informed of their freedoms and the fact that the Civil War had ended. And this is something, it's part of our history, and this is something that should be taught to our kids. We learn everything else, and I think this is something that is just as important, if not more.
Juneteenth is important because it is a milestone. It's a marker in history for when enslaved Black people were emancipated from slavery in this country. And I'm so thankful that it's been created or been acknowledged and recognized and is now a federal holiday. So myself, my family, we are happy to celebrate Juneteenth every year.
It's a statement saying that, yeah, there were free slaves, and Texas took 2 years to pass the news along. It took someone coming in to be like, you guys aren't supposed to be here anymore. And I for sure think that Juneteenth is one of the days that should have remembrance.
We're all human beings. It doesn't matter what race you are, what color you are, but I feel like our race has gone through so much, and we still continue to go through so much. So what Juneteenth means to me is that we were finally had the shackles cut off to some degree, because we still are shackled.
But it is a momentous holiday because it does celebrate our independence as a people versus the independence of this country from other ruling. So it's our holiday for our people and the celebration of our forward movement, which we're still working on. Bye.